At the start of the movie, we are introduced to the film's protagonist, Jack. He is a weather scientist who works for a government organization. He researches the changes in the weather and related things. Please like, subscribe, and press the bell icon on all. A short while later, we see Jack and his two colleagues in a snowy area. They are collecting samples of the frozen snow when the snow begins to break. The snow breaks so much that it splits into two parts, creating a very deep trench. Later, Jack notices that the snow samples they had collected were left on the other side of the trench, so he goes over to collect them without thinking, just as he is about to jump back. Despite this, Jack is still brave enough to jump to try and reach the other side, but he is unable to reach it and falls. Later, his colleagues pull Jack up at the appropriate moment, surprising three of them greatly. Following this, we are shown Delhi City, where a conference on global warming involving the governments of all countries is taking place. Global warming is defined as the presence of many gases in the air, which causes the sun's rays to collide with the earth. The earth's and the sky's temperature rises as a result. Jack is also present, telling everyone about how the weather is changing due to global warming. He claims that if we do nothing, our land's temperature will continue to change quickly, and that, in the next 100 years, all of the glaciers will melt and merge with the sea, changing the weather in the process. It will seem as though there will be a lot of rain in some places, many storms in others, and a significant drop in temperature in the northern region where it snows. As a result, everything on Earth will begin to freeze. That is, everything will be covered in snow, and it will obviously leave no trace of life anywhere. On this, the colleagues and other people disregard the American president, but a man who was actually a scientist of the sea believes that Jack's words are true. Later, we see the rapidly changing weather in Delhi, and we see the scientist of the sea and his research team in Scotland researching the changing weather, keeping Jack's words in mind. Suddenly, tremendous chunks of snow fall from the sky, injuring everyone they fall on. During their phone conversation, Jack asks his wife about herself and their son Sam. His wife gets furious and says, "You are not giving us any time because of your new research. I wanted to tell you that our son Sam has participated in a competition. This competition will be in New York, so will you drop him off at the airport at the appropriate time?" In response, after giving her his word that he will deliver Sam on schedule and she shouldn't worry at all, Jack eventually drops Sam off at the airport. Then, as he sits with his pals on the plane, the two of them had also competed in that competition. The plane begins to tremble owing to the storm, and all of the passengers' luggage begins to fall on them. When Sam sees this, he becomes extremely afraid because he has a strong fear of flying. Later, two scientists who had traveled to space for studies are shown there. They notice that a massive snowstorm is heading toward Earth. When they realize that, they are taken aback, and the marine scientist observes that the weather is deteriorating in 3 different locations. When Sam and his buddies arrive in New York, they notice a lot of birds fluttering around in the sky. Sam finds this quite weird, and he's also shocked. When these people arrive at the competition site, their first round goes really well. Following this, they take a brief rest. In this, the 3 of them make friends with a boy. The sea scientist calls Jack and informs him that everything he said at the Delhi conference was accurate, but that the weather changes will occur over the next 100 years, not the other way around. Based on what you told me, I was researching this and discovered this information through research. Jack is horrified to hear this and realizes they don't have much time to save the planet. Thus, Jack requests that his senior build a model of a device that will provide weather information. Because of it, students will become knowledgeable about the weather and how to take precautions. It will lessen the likelihood of disaster, but he obviously rejects Senior Jack for this. A massive storm later moves across a portion of America. This causes so much havoc that 75% of the population perishes. The American president is informed of this as well as the senior. Following this, the president forbids piloting the aircraft throughout the nation. The senior realizes that Jack was spot on after learning this. Since, as Jack mentioned, the weather is changing frequently throughout the world, the senior has given Jack and his team just 48 hours to hastily prepare the model. They thus begin creating the model right away and finish it later after working tirelessly for 24 hours straight. They learn that everything will end in roughly 6 to 8 weeks if they do nothing swiftly. Therefore, they must take action to protect the populace from this impending issue. Now that he is aware of this, Jack phones his son Sam and requests that he return. Sam responds, "There isn't a plane flying here." so I'm unable to return at this time. At this point, Jack presents all of the data and reports he gathered to the president's colleague. However, just as before, he ignores what Jack says this time too. Sea scientist notices that the temperature is dropping quickly because to the global weather change, and if it continues this way, everything would freeze very soon. Subsequently, we witness a swift snowstorm approaching Scotland as a result of the abrupt change in weather in the north. 3 helicopters are observed flying during this snowstorm, but they are quickly destroyed and fall to the ground. This is because the snow froze on them while they were in the air, stopping the helicopter's blades. Once they land, they all begin to freeze in the snow and eventually perish. Jack finds out about the inclement weather in Scotland as well. Given that sea scientist was present as well, Jack informs him of this right away and instructs him to leave the area as quickly as possible. Because there's a massive snowstorm approaching you, the scientist studying the waters says, agitated, "There's no point, it's too late, and nothing will happen," so he bids Jack farewell. Later, we witness the approaching of a massive snowstorm. Sea scientists and their colleagues pass away as a result of it. It's pouring rain in New York. Sam and his co-workers become stuck there as a result. To save their lives, a guard advises them all to go to a library for that reason. Later, Sam notices a massive wave approaching him that, like a tsunami, his friend was standing very next to it. He rushes to save his pal in the interim and takes him to the library. Next, we witness the dire state of affairs in New York City, where water had flooded every area. Later, Sam uses a phone in the library to call his father Jack and inform him of the dire circumstances facing the entire city of New York. Jack responds, "You and your friends don't leave this library and go anywhere, and you, my son, need not worry, regardless of what occurs. Hold on for me. Whatever occurs, I will undoubtedly come get you." At the request of his superior, Jack meets with the president later on and provides him with all the details of the research that he has provided. Following this, it is determined that throughout this difficult time following their removal, he will assist the people of the North and all those who are stranded there, sending them to the South. Since the South had better conditions than the North, they weren't all that horrible. Following this, Jack departs for New York with his 2 pals in order to return with his son. The water in New York had frozen due to the extremely low temperature, leaving everyone stranded in the library. The sight of this horrible spectacle terrifies them. One of them, a police officer, glances at several individuals strolling southward. Upon witnessing this, everyone else considers heading south from the library. Sam, though, stops them from doing this and attempts to reassure them that we will make it through. My dad is a government climatologist, and he says that we should not go outdoors because the temperature is dropping too quickly and we would freeze to death. My dad has assured us that he will arrive and save us all, but none of them takes Sam's words seriously. After this, everyone departs the area with the exception of Sam's pals and a small group of people. The government is busy transporting people south in an effort to save as many lives as possible. Jack was traveling to New York with his friends. Their vehicle unexpectedly broke down due to the snowfall en route. They had to walk now. Hence, conversely, Sam and many others begin setting fire to every book in the library in an attempt to protect themselves from the chill. The president perishes as a result of these unfavorable weather circumstances. After the president's companion is appointed president, Jack and his pals travel to a snowy place where there has been so much snowfall that even the large buildings are covered in it, and they are strolling on top of them. When Jack's friend's foot slips off a building while they are strolling, he falls and dies. Jack and his companion are devastated by his passing. They must proceed, even against their choice, in order to save their lives. Conversely, Sam's friend's health abruptly begins to decline. Sam and his 2 companions board a water plane to pick up medication. As they were taking medicine from the plane after it had emerged from the sea, wolves suddenly attacked the group of people who had fled the jungle and arrived here. Sam's companion was bitten by one of the wolves, but he managed to save the other 2 friends and return them to the library. Sam's friend receives the medication later, and he feels great after taking it. Jack and his companion continue to move on when all of a sudden Jack's pal collapses, comatose from the cold. Thus, Jack chooses to pause at a location. The 2 scientists observe that the snowstorm on Earth is now lessening from space, and as a result, the snowstorm in New York also ceases. This causes Jack's friend to regain consciousness, and they soon find themselves wandering again in the vicinity of Sam's library. Here, the father and son are overjoyed to see one another and give each other hugs in an attempt to save Sam, his kid, and the other people. Jack contacts his superior to request assistance. The president is then informed by the senior, and this time, he acts swiftly to save Jack and the others by sending a chopper. The choppers arrive there in short order, and everyone is spared. As they look down from the aircraft, they see that many people in New York are still alive, but these people were within the buildings, and the people we had forbade from entering the library were dead. Later, we observe that the weather has begun to progressively improve. After some while, everything returns to normal. In light of this, the newly elected president is expressing his regret to the nation via television for his error in not listening to Jack when he first informed him of the weather change. He says, "I am sorry that many people were killed, but maybe if I had listened to Jack at that time, I could have saved many lives today." Furthermore, nature taught us a valuable lesson through a small sample. If we treat our land carelessly, toy with it, ignore filth, and other things, we will continue to suffer from these consequences, since nature has made it clear to us that humans are insignificant in its eyes. This film ends here with the heart-touching message of the president.